Buenas noches, familia. How y'all doing? It's nice to see so many faces. We got to update that bio. I sent you an old bio there, familia, because the book is out. The book has come out. It's being published by Black Freighter Press, which is a press that was started here in Oakland by Tongo Eisen Martin and Ali Jones. This press started to give voice to the Black and brown literature and culture workers and writers here in the Area Bahia and beyond. So tap in with Black Freighter because they got a lot of good stuff happening. So I'm gonna be reading mostly from this book, and there's a couple of strange discombobulated poems I'm gonna read at the end. Introducción. First off, let me say that the espíritus that I end up talking to do not have high-speed internet access or the keys to the church. The espíritus that I end up talking to have folk tales from Brawley about the devil. They have umbilical accordion conexiones to el cielo over San Luis Potosí and VHS huesos buried out in the dirt somewhere in Reynosa. And cuando we get to cotorreando, pues it feels like an abuelita's kitchen table filled with comadres up in here. The rules for español, en el carro or en la casa. The rules for Spanglish, near the front door or on certain playgrounds. The rules for English, near the Sizzler salad bar or whenever we talk about history. The rules for Nahuatl that I hear in my dreams. Pues no me acuerdo. You see, me accent, it goes way, way back, man. And it was not formed by the neighborhood I grew up in or the place that mi familia is from. You see, my accent has been formed by all those things about ourselves that were not taught to us. By all those things that our ancestors were not allowed to say. My accent has been formed by the forced violent migration of mi gente, by the mystical, milagroso migration of mi gente. And along the way, along miles and years, between generations of talking blood and our children becoming our ancestors, we have peeled and transformed the idiomas that we have been given so that we can believe what we're saying about ourselves. We've used what we've forgotten how to pronounce without even knowing it, man. Como constellations in el cielo, como slang direcciones to the party, como sagrado pronunciations of a ritual, como palabras that your abuelo spoke, folded up in your corazon's memoria. Through no fault of our own mispronunciations, our tamales had one Castilian oliva each, with a hole and a hole and a hole and a hole where what we were saying should have gone. Cuando we were little, chavalitos, we spread the palabras out on our abuelita's kitchen table. We'd mix the palabras up with frijoles and tortillas that Mama Grande would make for us. We could taste the history in what we were eating. We didn't know what it was. We just knew it tasted good. And that's when I learned. That's when I first learned que de palabras, the words that they give us, no tienen sabor. The patron calls us another word for what we are. The religious man calls us another word for who we are. And so many of us end up believing them. Si no los ponemos trucha, they're going to go ahead and lose us in between the lines. They're going to go ahead and lose us in translation. After all, mi gente, can you pronounce yourself with the words that they have given you? Can you pronounce your cultura with the words that they have given you? We can, and we do speak. We have to. We can and we do speak very clearly with our ancestors' voices because we have to. I can speak just like my tia Vanjie in a dream. And I remember all of this when I pronounce and mispronounce the words that they have given me. This is an old poem, but I'd like to dedicate it to our pinche vice president, saying, don't come here. Pendeja, we already here. We already here, and every day is a pinche checkpoint. We already here, brown-skinned citizens of estos estados jodidos. Keep your skin color, languages, and hands where we can see them and answer the following questions. Can you provide us with an original birth certificate with a raised seal, as well as an ID for your ID and a witness to the witness who supposedly saw you being born within the borders of these disunited states? If you are unable to provide such documentation, step forward and answer the following questions in English. Are you currently residing within the borders of these disunited states as a monolinguist or a bilinguist? If you are a monolinguist, step to the side and continue to breathe in English slowly. If you are bilinguist, answer the following questions. Does it currently hurt in English when you swallow Mexican pride? Do you dream in English more than 4 times a week? Does your mispronouncement of English words follow immediate and sincere shame? Have you ever used your second language in an act of violence? Have you ever used your second language to help someone understand something that we did not want them to understand? Do you currently have any Mexican slang stashed under your tongue? Brown-skinned citizens of estos estados jodidos, have you been vaccinated in case someone bleeds on you in a foreign language? What was your mother's maiden name before the colonizers raped and then baptized her? Have you ever cried or left flowers or explosives anywhere along the border where the Texas Rangers shot, burned, or lynched a brown person? Have you recently spoken to any of your ancestors who we beheaded? Did they provide you the location of where we buried their remains, specifically the heads? Brown-skinned citizens of estos estados jodidos, how many family members do you have in your front pocket right now? Would you ever consider shortening or changing your history so that it's easier for white America to pronounce it? Are there any bones out there in North American soil not related to you that will speak up on your behalf? Can you provide us with receipts for every time you have supposedly been called a wetback, a spick, a beaner, an immigrant? Brown-skinned citizens of estos estados jodidos, have you ever worked as a stereotype before? Would you ever consider working as a stereotype? Has anyone ever paid you cash under the table here in North America to take their job because it was too much work for them? Would you press charges if someone shot you in English? Are you, in fact, able to avoid reading in between the lines of the Pledge of Allegiance? Are you able to misinterpret just enough so that you do feel some pride on the 4th of July? Can you translate the lines of the national anthem to your children and have them mean something else entirely? Do you set your clock back every 6 months for colonized daylight savings time? Do you need an interpreter to explain to you that we are putting your children in cages because we do not want them to live? Brown-skinned citizens of estos estados jodidos, keep your skin color, languages, and hands where we can see them. while we evaluate your answers. So one thing I learned the past year in the pandemic is brown and black people, we decolonize our minds, our hearts, but it's also necessary for us as black and brown people to decolonize the decolonization, you know what I'm saying? Because sometimes we adopt images that were part of the colonizers' plan, man. I mean, I'm talking about the flag that Cesar Chavez marched under was the same flag that Cortés marched under, was the same flag that the Spanish and the Portuguese used to chase the Moors marched under, y'all. That eagle that the águila and the nopal are sitting on, that's a Catholic construction, baby. We got to decolonize the decolonizations on a regular basis. Don't even get me started on the Hunab coup, y'all. Ouch. That's just after the yoga class pickup line these days, mi gente. So let me tell you, man, you got to decolonize them decolonizations. And I want to say that you can argue with your ancestors. You can argue with the huesos. You can accuse the timeline of being crooked. You can deny what the plastic conquistadors say really happened. You can exist at this momento and not believe que somos hijos or hijas de la chingada. You can reach all the way back in time and give your tata, abuela a cohete and a bandolera of Santísima balas. You can heal from the diseases that killed you. You can dig yourself away from the burial. You can swim to the lost ocean where your antepasados saw their reflection in the agua, and it was you. You, mi gente, can rust North American timelines. You can ignore the lifetime that they gave you. You can build a casa with a cenote in the basement. You can dream sweet dreams, regardless whether the white face behind the candela is there or not. You can remember cuando the raíces of your own familia tried to strangle you. You can ask for those sacrifices back. You can turn Juan Diego's Tilma into a blacklight poster, man. You can ask them to take their blue-eyed chicken feet Diablo with them when they go. You can dream an azul desierto con chapulines that hop over La Muda and take the children with them. You can ask El Campo Santo for a Cempasúchil day pass. You can ask La Llorona, ¿por qué lloras? And already know the answer. You can walk through La Puerta to El Otro Lado and leave it wide open for the next brown body to come through behind you. You can call the revolutionaries murderers. You can call the revolutionaries murderers. You can call the revolutionaries murderers. You can ask for the footprints to speak up. You can ask for their history to tell us the truth. You can ask Donatzin what snakes she's hiding behind the flores she's hiding behind the snakes she's hiding. You can give La Tierra back to La Tierra. You can speak a language that you've forgotten. You can ask the cicatrices to tell you what they really saw. You can be a Pocho Jacob and wrestle them Catholic angels and win. You can starve the ghosts of the dogs that ate your relations and feel some satisfaction. You can forgive the Rosas for being in on it. You can have faith in the resurrection of Oscar Zeta Acosta. You can see her jade skirt and the profundity of the night sky at the same time. You can possibly reconsider El Plan de San Diego. You can ask the Santos to show you documentation of their milagros. You can hope our sangre will have a better time after we're gone. You can believe in Aslan and still think that the Águila and the Nopal gave us bad directions. All right, mi gente. I got one small one here left. I'll give it to you. I'm gonna cross the bridge tonight, go back to a neighborhood called the Iron Triangle in North Richmond. So there's some discombobulated poems about the Iron Triangle. Have you seen any left-handed colibri? Do you trust the liquor store? Got this around here? beat. A redemption song is the soundtrack, walking between matanza y matanza to a distancia that is not anywhere. I use the crosswalk with the lazy ojos, while the tattoos on the arms of the vatos locos mumble truths I can't quite hear through their skin. Stupid question, ya sé, pero if I walk al revés, will I be able to see where the balas are coming from? Can we forget the whole thing if the surveillance cameras by Al's Market didn't see anything? If the cameras in the apartamento stairwell sneezed and missed it, did it really happen? Quien más is watching us around here on McDonald Avenue? Quien más is protecting us around here on McDonald Avenue? I ponder this as I wander this, ignoring the sign of the cruz tagged on the bus benches and ignoring the evangelical bullhorn canciones. I prefer homemade bendiciones that can be copped without showing Catholic stigmatas or US IDs. I've seen the colonizers' faces hidden in the masa of the $2 religious pupusas that they sell around here los sábados y domingos. Tienen hot dogs también. Aquí los billboards barely reach el cielo, but their message still blocks out the morning luz. Ask the bent parking lot árbol. Ask the cracked concrete daisies if they have a few rayos that they can spare. It's either that or you bum a frajo off of one of the esquina apparitions and pretend it's sunlight until you get used to the shade. North Richmond twilight. Tezcatlipoca ojos y Tlaloc goggles mad dog each other and walk tall past other neighborhood mythologies while colored balloons drift across North Richmond skies, set free from their corner ofrendas for the day. Hay semillas in between the sidewalk cracks. Las esquinas son habitats, and so are the tired parking lots and chipped concrete dope spots. Huesos turn into sidewalk dice games as I walk by. The broken bottles smile into the fading luz del sol like bocas missing teeth. Milk crate chicken farms next to old ass bank vaults that pigeons and denim viejitos sleep in. Their mumbling sueños seep into the faded cracked murals around here. The smell of the ocean is near, but hidden by the pedos of the chevron montañas. The clang of railroad steel knuckles on all three sides is strange clockwork to the southern ghosts of the naval shipyard workers who are still looking for a desegregated place to live. The fragrance of an abuelita's jasmine jardín, tiny like her. The green y gris colibre hum and buzz away from the corner store that don't sell alcohol. They rest on a duct-taped branch near the laundromat where they've hidden their huevos inside the gumball machine. Guarding them, they hunch their feathers in the pájaro veterano stance, looking like moody arcoirises you don't want to fuck with. Ya pues, it starts to get dark. Voices speak a slang on the 72 bus going by that's sharper than obsidian. Tomorrow morning, sneakers dangling from the telephone wires will yawn, and whatever made it through the night will begin the day all over again. Gracias, mi gente.